Hello, peculiars. How are you? You know, there are a few times in life when a book comes out that feels like it would be wrong not to have on the Peculiar Book Club, almost as though I made it up, like I manifested it manifested it into the world. And this is one of them because it's about doctors and it's about alcohol. Doctors and alcohol. It's perfect, isn't it, Davey? Where are you, Davey?
It is, except I feel like this episode, I'm going to let you down because I don't drink. I feel like, am I the right co-host? Am I the right co-host for this episode?
I think you are, Davey, because I will need a designated. That's your job is to get all of us home.
That's right. And I've done that many times. But I think when we get to the quiz, I think I got a good quiz for this one. So.
I'm very excited about your quiz.
I'll pull my weight in this episode.
Yeah. So you've noticed we're not in my usual environs this evening because we're down in my office. This is actually my office. That's one of my paintings back there. A different bookshelf. I also have a bunch of like weird accoutrement. This is actually my bookshelf for the Peculiar Book Club. So everything we've ever done is on this bookshelf behind me, and that's a lot. But I'm down here, and I figured while we were here, I would show off some of the things I do have. So I do, in fact, have a doctor's bag and various old medicine labels and medicine bottles, and an awful lot of these medicine bottles have alcohol in them as like the main ingredient. Some of them, one of my favorites is a cough syrup that Lindsay Fitzharris put up that was just like, like gin and whiskey and laudanum and opium. And, I don't know if it cures your cough, but you won't remember you were sick. So this is the kind of, I don't know. I've just been waiting for this evening, Davey. I'm just so excited because we have Camper English and he is going to talk about doctors and distillers.
Welcome.
That's your ink explosion.
Hello,
Camper. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well. Yeah.
Cheers. This is a fun one because I feel like we could have done so many different cocktails, but our drinks maven, Kat comes up with our cocktails. She came up with something that she wanted to be, light and airy and fun and historic, but also something you could have at parties because if you've got cocktails, you should have friends over. So I'm excited to show that with our announcements. I also just want to say we've got some fun people here. For one thing, we have a friend who has joined us from Paris time. It's like 1:00 in the morning. And she's here with us. We've got Amanda Johnson. Amanda Johnson is our beer maven. So she's very, very good. -1 useless uterus. Oh my gosh. Are you doing, Amanda, welcome back. I had no idea. We do a lot of shows on uteruses actually. So it's good to know that you got rid of one that doesn't work. Sadie's like, yeah, way to do it. Let's see. Leanne is here, and we've got Sadie, Susan Ballinger. Who else am I missing anyone? We've got a lot of folks here tonight, and a couple people who'll be turning up later because of timing and other kinds of things. But while we're here, I thought that we would do a few announcements, but I already see people are talking about drinks over here. Sadie, Ryan consumed this audiobook in one day, and then he had to test out a couple of things. The beer with Aperol, for instance.
The NASCAR Spritz.
Yeah, that's a NASCAR Spritz. That's too funny.
That could have been the quiz. I could have just read back the ingredients and see if Camper could have identified every drink just on the ingredients alone.
Yeah, you know what though? He probably could though. That's This book is much fun. I have to say, I just fan myself. This is just the best. The best. It's the best. So let's do announcements, and then we're going to dive into questions and queries. You guys, if you're new here, please do type live into the live comment feed for YouTube your questions. It takes a few minutes for them to get to us, so go ahead and do that now while I'm giving the announcements. I slightly changed our slide. You might notice I added all of our little icons up at the top because there are so many ways that you can get in touch with us that I sometimes feel like, it's just hard to get to all of them. But we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. The group is private. It's where we all hang out and be weird together. About 10,000 people follow us on the Facebook page. We do have a Twitter. We're also on Blue Sky. Our YouTube. We have a podcast. We are on Discord. We're doing a new thing. We actually have a kind of purchase things that are peculiar purchasers, right? People who are makers and writers and other things who have products, have a channel on our Discord in case you wanted to support our peculiars in various other monetary ways. And of course, don't forget to talk to us live on the chat, because whenever you do, blink, you get popped up here, just like Lexi. Hi, Lexi. I need a physical copy with my bar library. I totally agree.
Yeah, listening to the audiobook, I was like, oh, there's recipes. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next, I think is my.
I think you wanted this next.
Yes, I did. Sorry, I try to label them, but then I forget what I've done. Some of you may have been not noticing that the Peculiar newsletter is how we send out the links now. So I tried to get this up on all of our medias. If you want the links to our show, this is how you sign up. So if you're watching this YouTube later and you're thinking, oh, that's how they get the live link, do this. You can get it. The links are there in the chat for you to see as well. Oh, I see questions starting to matriculate. I'm trying to mark them as they come. Announcements too. So join the private Facebook group. It's free. It's all good. We're also on Goodreads and bookclub.com. If you're not familiar, this has kind of saved my life because it actually sends me little reminders, because I'm terrible about remembering things, even though it's my show. So our show. Please make sure that you check into that. It's very cool. Next up is, oh yes. So maybe you want to support us. It would be great. We love it when you support us. For instance, next week's show is a VIP only show. It is Lindsay Fitzharris is sitting in my chair. She's going to be doing the hosting, and she's going to be bringing on Paul Craddock, and they're going to talk about the book Spare Parts. That will only be available to people who have VIP status, which is, there's several levels, but it's $5 a month, I think is the lowest. And that also means access to the YouTube and the podcast are limited to folks who are VIP status. So if you want to support us on Patreon, awesome. But also most of our shows are free. So that's just a little plug for me. And the book cocktail. So believe it or not, there were some fun names up there, including like Dr. Rosemary's Lifting Tonic or something like that. But this is the one that won. The TBD, right? To be determined, except it's the Therapeutic Botanical Draft. And it's light beer or light lager. I think they suggested Stella? Is that what? Wow, I made the words really small on that. And it's got lemon, it's got rosemary pepper syrup, which I love. I don't think you can get enough ground up pepper into drinks, frankly, and rosemary as well. So it's a light, refreshing cocktail. It's going to be great for summer. And I wanted to make sure that you guys all saw the recipe is up online. Please do try to make it. It's very fun. Podcast time. Oh, wait, no, I always do that. Almost. YouTube first. The YouTube channel, we love it if you subscribe. It would be great. It will send you updates when we put a new video up. And all of our past shows are there, of which I think there's got to be like 60 some now.
And the podcast slides. So, Camper, I told you before we started that we do a bonus podcast, a movie club to go with our book club. And we thought for your book, the booziest movie we could possibly think of was Cocktail with Tom Cruise. Surprisingly, it doesn't have a great Rotten Tomato score or anything like that, but I think it's going to be fun.
Plus you guys make fun of the shows half the time too. So.
Yeah, that's part of the fun. But come on, Tom Cruise in like the heart of the 80s, like what? This is going to be a good time.
And what's the other one? Coyote Ugly would have to be the one that follows that one, right?
Booziest, yeah.
I do know actually a lot of older bartenders who saw the movie Cocktail and decided to get into the field.
There you go.
It was actually influential in the world of cocktails.
I could see that. You know what? But I feel like Tom Cruise probably also made a lot of people into airline and into pilots too. So I feel like he's a weird influencer.
And we do want to announce that. So this will come out on Thursday next week. On Tuesday next week, we have more bonus audio for you. Brandy did another interview.
I did.
Yeah.
I got contacted by this lovely author who wrote a book called Glitter and Concrete. And she's an author and she is also a photographer. And you would have thought I put it within reach of myself, but apparently I didn't. But the book, it has a beautiful cover. It is all about the history of drag in New York, especially, but also just its relationship to rebellion and to resistance and all of these other fun things. And it's got beautiful photographs in a color section in the middle. And so I hope that you will tune in. That's going to be on Tuesday. Did you say, Davey?
Yes. Yes, on Tuesday. So we'll drop that audio on Tuesday, and then Thursday you'll get the movie podcast.
Because we keep running, we have more books and authors than we have room to make all of these actual shows. So be tuning in, because we're going to have 2 or 3 more coming up pretty soon. Just fun books, some from authors you know, and some from new authors. And so I hope that you will that you'll tune in, because you can't have too many books. You can't. It's impossible. I'm pretty sure. Or cocktails. Well, you might be able to have too many of those.
Yeah. I've tested those limits.
I bet you have. So I am surprised. There's a whole bunch of questions in here. So now I'm going to go back up and find the first one. Who was first? Oh, I should go to the start. Okay. Leon Weiberg asks, how did you get a publisher interested in publishing a book on ice cubes? Glad you did. You and I were just having a conversation about this, so I thought you might want to regale us.
Yeah, well, we started by asking every publisher in existence, and they all said no. And then an editor moved from one publisher to another, and that person said yes. So it was mostly rejections, but I've been writing about ice cubes for almost 15 years now, and I figured it was time for the ice book to exist, and it got tremendous press when it came out in May. And so
New York Times, and
yeah, it's a big deal. And there's a zillion Instagrammers saying, well, here's how I make ice cubes. I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder where you learned it. That was me. But
look at my amazing ice cube skills. Actually, I have to tell you, I really never thought that much about ice. You know, I was just you just throw ice in a glass. And some of this is because I drink a lot of things neat, my whiskey neat a lot of times. So I don't necessarily think about ice, but I've gotten interested in it recently, because have you ever had really, really bad ice? That's what teaches you that there's a difference between ice. When you're like, this, I think, is sentient. Like, I don't know how long it's been in here. It's not the right color. I think it could walk out of the freezer on its own.
yeah, you leave those leftovers in your fridge one time with garlic string beans or something, and then your ice tastes like garlic in your martini, and like, if that's not your jam, it's not my jam.
That's a rough one. I mean, there's plenty of things that garlic is a nice pairing for, but ice is not. I don't think so. No. The clarity of ice thing is really interesting too, because we get a lot of cloudy ice, and I just didn't even realize that there was a way to like get clear ice. Like I didn't realize that there's a process, and that's fascinating.
Yep, it's the process that I figured out.
You little scientist, you look at you.
Yeah, I did experiments. There was a lot of kind of hearsay. How you've got to boil the water. I just saw today. You boil the water 3 times. So that's what started me on that investigation. I was like, that doesn't sound sciencey correct. So I replicated other people's experiments, and then eventually figured something out on my own. It's the basic techniques of using an insulated container. And
what I have to say, I really kind of wish that I think you need to do a coffee table book of all of the different pictures that are in these, because you never really kind of get to do them all, but it's every single one of these I just want to see a picture of, and especially the ice.
And this book is really small. It's 6 inches by 6 inches. I wish it was like 6 feet. The photos are actually incredible in it. The photographer is a former bartender, and she actually carved the ice diamonds that are in the book as well.
Amazing.
She did a great job on it.
Beautiful. And I really, it's certainly given me a brand new appreciation for ice, apart from, I live in Cleveland, so ice happens here with some frequency, but it's, this is a whole different level. So
yeah. And I treat it like arts and crafts that you can drink at the end. And it's pretty much free until you go where I've gone, and I have a whole broom closet full of ice cube trays and coolers and knives.
I can never get. Mark had some ice cube trays that looked like Han Solo frozen in carbonite. Those didn't come out as well as we had hoped.
But they don't come out clear unless you manipulate the process, which I've done. We actually did a Death Star ice ball for this book, but the publisher got worried that we'd get sued by George Lucas, and so they didn't let us put it in. But it's a really great ice cube. So now every May 4th, I make a whole bunch of them, and we'll give them out to folks.
I love it. May the 4th be with you.
I actually used a Star Wars clip in a sketch I did last episode, and so far Lucasfilm has not come after us. The Peculiar Book Club is safe.
I hope that I would be more worried
small
about
enough potatoes.
Yet.
Yeah.
Amanda Johnson says, I'm having my first beer since before hysterectomy. I thought an In the Pines hazy pale ale from Level Crossings Brewery in Salt Lake City was fitting for this book. Plus it's a fave. So that's our beer. She always has a new beer for our show, or usually will have going forward. So that's very nice. Shrika says, supposedly in the news, there is no beneficial amount of alcohol. What a rubbish new development, and how can that be true?
Yeah, that's this debate. First of all, it's endless, but also the studies about they're kind of counteracting the idea of like a glass or two of red wine a day is healthy,
Right.
but these don't take into account quality of life, just length, and so. They have shown in studies going all the way back to prohibition that people who do drink small amounts of alcohol tend to live longer. And that it is thought is because alcohol does help some people form bonds and relationships on dates, leading to families and marriage, and people in those situations tend to live longer. So that there is benefit if you treat it that way. It's just not.
I like the way you think.
It's
not the alcohol by itself. We couldn't give it to a rat in a cage and hope that it would make magic happen. But I agree, because the other thing too is, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the planet's on fire and everything's bad. So I find that a little whiskey in the evening makes it less bad. Now, Davey is not a drinker and is yet one of the more happy people I know. At least he does a really good job of looking it. And Davey, what do you do to relax when you don't drink alcohol?
Oh my God. Music.
Oh, okay.
Sing in the car. Here's my secret to life. Sing in the car at the top of your lungs and enjoy every minute of it, no matter who's next to you at the red light. Just put on a concert.
I love it.
You'll live a happy life.
I can see that. Mark and I have a karaoke bar in the basement, but there's still a bar attached to it. So we're kind of.
But I have karaoke'd there.
You have
without visiting the bar
at my house. Though I believe Maggie visited the bar.
Maggie did, yes.
Yeah, Maggie did. I was very neglectful in my announcements, because we do have another announcement that might explain where Davey has been spending a lot of his time.
Yes. So I told you there was we had a surprise. I've been on a journey for the last few years. We had a son 2 years ago. He's about to turn 2 in April. Mm-hmm. We decided to grow our family. We did not realize how big we were going to grow our family. So instead of having one baby, we have twins. So yes. In fact, that's why I disappeared for a second, because Maggie brought me one. My shoulder is bouncing up and down right now because there's a baby in my arms staring up at me, trying to fall back asleep. So, Yep. We are now parents of 3 kids under 2 and lots of little diapers. And yeah.
That's great.
They're will be 2 weeks old tomorrow.
I love it. I've just realized I've been neglectful again in a different way, in that I missed some of the comments over here. Amanda Johnson said she was obsessed with the cocktail soundtrack when she was a wee lass. Let's see. Ryan just ran outside to get rosemary. Nice. The syrup is so good, says Lexi, and I can't wait to make it because I'm a big fan of that. Let's see here. We also have, apparently, did you know this? The U.S. used to export ice.
Oh yeah, I know far too much about ice.
You know far too much about
it. Most ice. The reason why ice is in drinks and ice is abundant ice is an American affectation that we're known for being weird about how much ice we use.
Interesting.
It all leads back essentially to one entrepreneur, Frederick Tudor of Boston, who would cut up lakes like Walden Pond and other lakes, and then sell that ice in the summer months, not just in Boston, but to places like Cuba and Martinique and India, and establish those markets. And he did the drug dealer thing where you gave ice to bartenders for free, and they would. And he has a quote saying it's when people get used to having cold beverages for the same price as warm beverage, they're never going to go back.
So, oh my God. I love this.
On ice.
Yeah, I used to do a manufacturing show here in Cleveland, like a magazine style show, and I pitched. There's a local ice company here, Euclid Ice.
Oh, yeah.
No, Olmsted Ice.
Olmsted Ice. Mm-hmm.
And I pitched it to my boss. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna do a segment on how ice is made. Yeah, great segment." And turned out to be one of our best. Like, it was so cool, the process and just storing that much ice.
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarre when you think about it.
Yeah.
And Leanne says now we can get ice from Japan.
Yep. That was just in the news recently, that there is a Japanese company that fancy bars are buying Japanese ice. There's also in the news recently someone selling icebergs floating off of Greenland, specifically to Dubai. So whenever there's ice in the news, Camper gets the call for the interview.
Got it.
So
I was gonna say, what do we have to spend money for? Aren't the icebergs just breaking off and coming down to us anyway for free?
Yeah, it's just transport.
Just get into those streams.
Yeah. You can eat all the little microorganisms that are in there too. It should be fun. A couple things just to catch up. As I've said, the comments tend to lag a little bit. So Amanda was saying that's the best about you singing in the car. Davey says, I'm waiting for someone to take pics or video and sharing it in the wild local Facebook group. Many congratulations popping up.
Thank you, everyone.
Kevin was like, Irish triplets?
Just twins. We're good with two.
Just well, you sort of have three, even if yes, you do have. You have three little barns now, don't you? Let's see. All right, back to questions. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I was not leaving anyone out. All right. Speaking of, oh no, Lexi says, speaking of doctors and alcohol, my endocrinologist gave me a hard time about my liver enzymes, so I had to dry out and retest. Thanks, Kat, for always have modifications to our non-alcoholic homies. Many of our drinks, Kat is very conscious about trying to create non-alcoholic versions of them as well, because you don't have to drink alcohol to be a peculiar in the Peculiar Book Club, even though it's fun. Leanne had another question for you, and this kind of intersects with one of our other authors who we've had before and who will be coming back this year. Lucy Jane Santos writes about radium and radium water and radium cocktails and things of that nature. Have you ever tried radium water?
I have not. I didn't know about radium water. There's radium glassware. Is that correct? That's the glowing stuff.
I've got some.
I'm aware of that. And actually, I have one of my several websites is about safety in cocktails, and tiki mugs made earlier than certain years could have lead in them, and so you have to think about old glassware, really old glassware, about storing high proof spirits in them. They're fine for everyday use as far as we know for drinking out of them, but you don't want to store your cask strength whiskey in them for 20 years and drink that lead.
But the Romans were all about this, weren't they? They were all about like the wine and the lead vessels, weren't they?
There's lead involved somewhere in there. They didn't drink lead on purpose, but they definitely
So well, and then they had lead. Didn't they put their? I mean, what we did too. Lead pipes are for water is maybe not a great idea, but we do those things. So okay, Amanda Johnson, and I bet you the answer is yes. But have you tried every drink in the book? And if so, which one do you prefer?
It's weird because I don't know. I assume I've had a lot.
You're like, I don't know. It's
they were all like familiar to me. I didn't really like make any of those. Those are mostly classic cocktails that I could rattle off the recipe off the top of my head for most of them. Singapore Sling gets complicated, but and I don't even know if that's in the book. But at the end of the day, because of the research for this book, the gin and tonic is my homie. I get real specific about how to do it there's like the right shaped glass, the right shaped ice cubes, the right proportions of tonic to gin, depending on the gin brand, depending on the tonic brand. There's the right garnishes, all of that. That's what I do, is sort of, get in there and micromanage every single cocktail. I will change out an ice cube halfway through the drink. Like, your work here is done. Time for a new cube. I really, I often listen to audiobooks. I know Davey does too. And so I am in the same problem. I have the audiobook, but I do not have an actual physical copy of this book. And so I need to get a physical copy of this book because my husband is an engineer. Mark, Lady Paws, as you all know him.
We don't normally use the word husband. It's weird to call him that, but yeah, that technically is what he is. And he's an engineer, and he's very good at like details. So this, I think, Mark Schillace, this book is for you. We gotta get you one. What's your favorite drink? I mean, sorry, what's your favorite version of the gin and tonic?
Oh, jeepers, offhands. It's something like 3 parts tonic, needs to be fever tree or Q tonic, to 2 parts high proof gin. It used to be Beefeater, but Beefeater recently changed the ABV from 46 down to 40. So now it's dead to me. Yeah. Like we're mad now. Folks in the industry will notice.
We've always been Beefeaters. Oh my God. So what do you do instead?
Well, Tanqueray. Hopefully what they'll do is they'll come up with, I love Tanqueray, it's great, but hopefully they'll come up with like a new high-end Beefeater that's just back to the original proof. That's how these brands tend to work.
Sadness.
Yeah, and then I'll do it. I like it in a bucket glass, like an old-fashioned glass, as opposed to a highball glass. Because I don't like the way the ice floats and pokes you in the nose.
Right.
Although there is something to be said for the smaller surface area for the carbonation to maintain tight. We tend to drink them faster than that's necessary to control the circumference. And large ice cubes, but not one big ice rock.
Okay. Not one big ice rock.
Not for that drink, because I want carbonation to be able to move around those cubes. For the garnish, I did a comparison. I have like a chart, and I tried every incarnation of grapefruit, lime, and lemon, peel, slice, and juice, and found that lime wheel actually was one of the best, because you get aspects of the juice and aspects of the peel. You put it in the bottom of the glass, put the ice in, press down, pour the gin, then the tonic, quick stir, fingers fine, and then you can drink it.
All right, I love it. I love it. So Mark, I hope Marcus should be watching in the next room. So he's got all. You got all that? All right. We're gonna try. It's like 50 degrees here suddenly, so we can have a gin and tonic.
That was like asking Picasso what his favorite paintbrush is to use. Like, that was masterful right there.
It was awesome, wasn't it? Like I had no idea we were gonna get so much good stuff. I'm very happy about that. Whose question was that? That was someone's question, but oh, that's right. It was about the favorite drink, and then I made it even more that way. All right, so let's see. Oh, here we go, Abigail. This is not gonna lie, coming from a big cocktail renaissance city, especially the Prohibition and older era, the section of the book about bartenders accidentally bringing back prohibited harmful ingredients was a bit scary. Yeah, it is.
Tobacco bitters. Don't do it. Don't do it, folks. So I was mentioning that safety website. It's called cocktailsafe.org. There's where I have basically don't make tobacco bitters, everybody. There are some commercial brands of tobacco bitters, but they're tobacco flavored bitters made with tea and a little bit of vanilla, maybe some Lapsang Souchong tea for a little smoky, a wisp of it, that are good. But don't go making them at home, which is the problem there. People are like, oh, tobacco bitters.
I can do that.
Just go buy a pack of Marlboros and put them in my whiskey.
Die of nicotine poisoning. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. So I actually wrote a short story, I didn't write a short. So I used to do quite a lot of programming for the District Medical History Museum, for which Davey knows. Davey used to film me doing a lot of it. And I did a couple of different things. One time we did a Prohibition and Cocktails medical history event in which we served cocktails in the back room of the Allen Library. And then I came in dressed as, help me out. I just said his name earlier. Davey, who am I talking about? The Untouchables, help me. The guy who is in charge of the Untouchables, who gets Al Capone. What happened to my brain just now?
I put too much ice information into it. It's my fault.
Someone shouted out in the chat. I'm dying here.
We know who this is, you guys. Anyway,
played by Kevin Costner.
That guy. Anyway, I came dressed up as him and I arrested the audience. And so that was a lot of fun. We did that one time. He's buried in Cleveland, strangely.
Elliot Ness.
Thank you, Susan Ballinger. Woo! Right. Got us. So he's buried in Cleveland, actually. Believe it or not, he's not buried in Cleveland. His grave is in Cleveland Cemetery, but he wanted his ashes spread in the pond, which is actually illegal, but they did do it for Elliot. So Elliot Ness is spread in the pond in the cemetery in Cleveland. So I did do that. That was fun. But the other thing I did was I went on stage and told the story of Ginger Jake. Are you familiar with Ginger Jake?
Yeah. So Jake Leg.
Yep, Jakey Leg. And I told a story about the devil goes down to Georgia meets Ginger Jake kind of thing. But that's a really interesting one because weren't they using some sort of chemical for filmmaking?
Plasticizer.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, I think something happened. They switched out an ingredient in Jamaica ginger liquid because it wasn't intended to be consumed, but people were drinking it to get the alcohol. But when they changed that to an unsafe material, then that's what caused the issues, the health issues.
Yeah, not a good.
By health issues, I mean really, really bad stuff.
Really bad. Yeah, like your legs stop working for the rest of your life. Like that was basically like how that went. Actually, so Bonnie says Elliot Ness's last wish was to break a law, and so he did. I actually make my own bitters, but I don't make them out of tobacco. I make really, really, really nice cucumber bitters. Sorry. If you're listening to the podcast, we might be able to cut that out. Otherwise, cucumber bitters. Yes, and someone's talking about bitters. Lots of people make bitters. It's not that difficult. The trouble is, it's kind of hard to find high enough proof spirits. And for shelf life purposes, that's kind of important.
Yeah, it depends on which state you live in, like the legal limit of beverage alcohol that you can purchase. California, where I live, lowered theirs. We used to be able to get the 70% Everclear, and now I think it's 60 or 65%, which is still better than vodka. But
right. Here in Ohio, it's really quite sad. Like we don't. Yeah. Oh, Kat is here. Hey, folks, this is Kat. This is her show. Really, this is a show for Kat because Kat is our drinks maven. Thanks for being here, Kat. We've already talked about your drink. We've moved on. We've had so much drink conversation. It's really good. The chat is off track but fun, says Leanne. Yeah. Where did this come up? This takes the cake. Brigham Young's son used when he dressed in drag. Where did that come from? Is that what's happening in the chat, you guys? I love it. So Sadie Simmons has another question, and then we have to break because we're at the midpoint and it's time for music. But she says, do you approve of Empress gin? I love the pH test fun of it, but I don't even know if it's a respectable gin.
Yeah, I've had some recently, actually. I thought it was pretty good. They have the purple color changing one, and they have a new reddish one.
A reddish one.
But yeah, you use it's a pH test basically that they use the butterfly pea flower infusion into the gin, and when you add something acidic to it, it'll change color. And but now they have a second product as well. And
first butterfly pea drink we did here on the show was for the one about the little brain organoids, where we had we made little gooey. We used boba pearls to look like little brains, and then we had a color changing cocktail. Yeah, that was our first season, and then I basically handed over the reins after that because I was like, I make messy cocktails. Somebody fix me. Somebody do this right. Oh, anyway, we must take a short break to have some music, a musical interlude from our house band. This is a song that they just released. Is that not true, Davey? This is a new release, I believe, and we've got some links.
Yes, and we might have some info about it for y'all. Keep an eye on the chat while it's playing.
Okay, keep an eye on the chat, and we're going to have some music, and then we'll be back, queue up more questions, and we also have Davey's quiz coming up.
Oh, hello, Peculiars.
It's us, Charming Disaster.
Do you ever get that thing where you've been kidnapped and you start to identify with your captor?
Yeah.
It happens all the time, right?
Who's kidnapping who in this situation?
I'm not really sure. Anyway, this song is kind of a love song. It's called
Stockholm Syndrome. It's a hostage situation, in a blindfold on the floor and looking handsome. How can you take what has been given? There is no one who's been stolen. There's no need to pay the ransom.
It's an old investigation. Will we find
your pulse and check the symptoms. Is this love or Stockholm Syndrome? It's a hostage situation in a blindfold on the floor. Who's the captain? Who's the captain?
Looking handsome. How can you take what has been given? There is no one.
You could say it was entrapment, but it feels a lot like rapture. Lock the door and hold the curtain. Blood is beating in your eardrum. Take your pulse and check the symptoms. Is this love or Stockholm Syndrome? When we go out, we can close our eyes to keep our secrets safe. Calling you up with my voice disguised, a number we can't trace. Think of a place where we can hide, a place we can't escape. Is this a game that we are playing? Cutting letters with the scissors in the kitchen. Or is it madness in the making? Tying string around the thumbtacks. Try to pinpoint our position. Lock the door and pull the curtain. Blood is beating in your eardrum. Take your pulse and check the symptoms. Lock the door and pull the curtain. Blood is beating in your eardrum. Take your pulse and check the symptoms. Lock the door and pull the curtain. Blood is beating in your eardrum. Take your pulse and check the symptoms. Is this love or Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's a hit right there.
I know, right there. They they also have some nice artwork that went with it, and it's her and Jeff, Elia and Jeff, who are friends of mine and also of the club in general, tied up together with telephone cords, like with the the old fashioned. No one has those anymore, do they?
No.
Very nice.
But I remember them.
Me too. I'm of a certain age. So, Camper, we sometimes try to do some humorous sketches. I didn't get around to a humorous sketch from this one, but I feel like humor is a lot of must happen a lot in the research of beverages. Tell us a funny story. What has come out of your research that you thought was humorous? Apart from the fact that you're able to quickly list down every ingredient of the perfect gin and tonic, which is pretty humorous.
Yeah, I'm pretty much always thinking about drinks.
To give Camper time to think of a story, I really wanted to try to do some fancy cocktail flipping bottles and things like that for you guys. I really wanted to try that. I ran out of time.
I really should have thought about trying to have Darwin do some juggling of cocktails like he did with it. That would have been cute. I've been busy though dealing with the fact that Wallace now comes in through the office window to visit.
Yeah, you got a little baby at home too, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
You know what? That happens. You correct. You help a sick feral cat who turns out not to be feral, but your new best friend, or at least your cat's best friend. Love affair happening there. Have you thought of a funny story?
I thought of a fun fact. We'll see if it's a funny story. I don't know. But when we look at alchemy as the creation of distilled spirits and how that worked, and the theories of the time that distilled alcohol was in fact the quintessence, it was the pure active essence of the universe, universal cure that was going to fix everything.
Is it not?
And it's close, but close as anyone's ever got for the most part, until penicillin. But then the alchemist's other pursuit of gold, and what you get together is Goldschlager. The gold flake liqueur is actually probably the most alchemically appropriate beverage that we could be doing shots of right now.
Right now. You and I need to like meet in real life at some point. Or not, maybe, for our liver's sake. Possibly not a good idea. I don't know. You were drinking whiskey earlier, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, still am.
Yeah.
The night is young.
Someone asked me what my favorite wine was once, and I did not do this to be funny. It's just the first thing that came out. I was like, single malt. And then I was like, whoops.
So, Camper, I had a question from the book for you. So talking about the medicine side of things a little bit, like so many of these things, right? We thought we were going to cure these miracle cures and stuff like that. Is there anything like today that like 100 years from now, are people going to have like Robitussin cocktails and be like, I can't believe they thought that was medicine? Like,
yeah.
What does the future hold?
Well, I mean, we just had a little old pandemic where people were treating themselves with all kinds of things that do not work because of the rumored properties, including a lot of the cinchona tree bark, from which we get quinine for our tonic water. But there was actually a run on it on my local herb supplier, and so they had to limit your purchases of bulk cinchona tree bark to 1 pound bags at a time. And 1 pound of cinchona tree bark, trust me, goes a very long way.
Wow. What were they doing with it? I can't even mind.
It was, I don't remember what was the theory at the time, but it was something with a synthetic quinine related compound was thought to prevent
was it like
or COVID.
No, and then like you took an ivermectin chaser. Is that what the?
Yeah, of course.
You made some ivermectin ice, maybe. I don't know. Oh, I didn't know this, Ryan. I don't know why I'm surprised, because I feel like of all the peculiars I know, Ryan would be the classically trained bartender. That just feels right to me. Went to bartender school in Chicago in the early 90s and knows how to make an international stinger. I'm gonna have to inquire about that.
Is that with Goldschlager and creme de menthe? It sounds like it's going to be Goldschlager and creme de menthe.
International stinger. It sounds like some kind of, like, are we busting Trump on further shores? Is that what the international stinger? So Leanne says, in Germany, the morning after a party where champagne and beer were served, the fizzy champagne was mixed with the beer as a skip and go naked. I had one billed to cure hangovers. It's called skip and go naked. Is that what?
Interesting.
Sounds like the hair of the dog a little bit there,
or something. I'm curious to know how that comes out in German. Having just done a book which required me to translate a great deal of German, and I am not great at it. Oh, let's see. Okay. No, he was on the right trail. You were on the right trail.
Well, when the 90s was a big clue there. There was going to be, butterscotch, peppermint, cinnamon, schnapps, one of those, or a mint of some sort.
Soda and codeine cough syrup, also known as purple drank.
Purple drank. Yep. Yeah. I haven't tried it yet. I've considered it.
I'm principally a whiskey aficionado. Actually, in my book that comes out next week, whiskey is a heavy player in that book. And I just wrote I'm working on the sequel, and so I thought, well, I got to pick a new brand of whiskey to introduce in this one. So that's going to be my thing. I think every new book will be like, okay, this time we're going to talk about Cole Isla or something.
Yeah, it's a thing in the drink nerds. We're always looking in the back of the shelves in every TV or show or whatever.
Right.
What does this whiskey say about what's happening? And like, actually, that's not era appropriate. They wouldn't be drinking single malt.
Blended all the way, darling. Yes. Well, it's funny because we have who was always drinking the whiskey and soda? Was that Dorothy Sayers' character? Mystery, someone help me out here. Peter Wimsey, Lord Peter Wimsey, wasn't he the whiskey and soda aficionado? I think nobody's with me on this. All right, we need to get more mystery readers in this group right here.
I do know on Seinfeld, if you wanted to unlock Elaine's vault, schnapps was the answer. That was a running gag on Seinfeld. Anytime they wanted to get a secret from Elaine, just give her schnapps.
You just give her schnapps, and she's like, then on Tuesday. I love it. All right, well, believe it or not, I know it seems impossible that it's 7:46 already, but it is time to unleash Davy's quiz. It's time for the Davy quiz.
we'll see how many little baby coos and giggles we get while we do this. So, I told you music is a big influence in my life, and in listening to your book and all the great drink recipes and everything, all the fun drink stories, it just got me thinking the perfect thing to pair with this, the thing that was missing was drinking songs. How about we talk about some drinking songs to go with all this drinking? So the quiz this week is named after, of course, the most famous drinking song of all time, 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. So here we go. So when I think of drinking songs, I of course think of Ireland first. And this classic Irish drinking song will have everyone wrapping their drinks on the bar before the chorus, and has even made it big thanks to covers by Thin Lizzy and Metallica. Is it A, the Irish Rover, B, I'll Tell Me Ma, or C, Whiskey in the Jar?
And you can get help from the Peculiars, who can pop into the chat and tell you things. I'm going to go with C on this one because I'm a Metallica fan, and I'm pretty sure that's a giveaway.
Peculiars, what do you think? We'll wait for their answers to trickle in. And I think I have some audio samples pulled up, so I might be able
to... Do you? Oh, very nice. I actually like the Irish Rover song. Is that the No Nay Never one? The one? No Nay Never, no never, no more. Will I play the Wild Rover? No, not that one.
Kevin's in for C.
Kevin's in for C.
I'm thinking C sounds the most like it would be a song.
We have a whole C section here.
The answer is yes. Whiskey in the Jar is the answer. And let me see if I can do this really quick.
All right, let's see if you can give us a little musical number here. I could do the Wild Rover song for you if you really need it.
This is by the Irish Rovers, so this is like an authentic version of it.
Authentic version of Whiskey in the Jar.
Are you hearing that?
As I was riding over the far from Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain
Barrel and his money was counting.
Produce me pistol, and then I drew my saber, saying stand and deliver, for I am a bold deceiver. What fall the daddy-o, what fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.
There we go. That's fun. The Metallica version and the Thin Lizzy one. I feel like the Metallica one might be a cover of the Thin Lizzy one because they're very similar.
They are very similar. Yeah, they are. And they're not like that.
No.
It's a little harder to sing along with them as well. So,
all right. Question number 2. We're going to another country. When Sweden's ice hockey team won the 1957 World Championship, not all the players knew the words to the Swedish national anthem. So the players chose to sing this popular Swedish drinking song instead. It can also be found on some Nokia phones as a ringtone option. Is it, and I'm going to try my best Swedish pronunciation here, Helen Gore, Små Grodarna, or Dancing Queen?
I hope it's Dancing Queen.
Well, I've had the fortune. So the thing about writing about liquor is liquor companies fly journalists around to visit distilleries. And so I've been to Sweden with a couple different vodka companies, and I think I got this. I think I got this one in
you got this one.
Because it sounds like Hell and Gore is how I remember it, which I can imagine appeals to.
Yes, as I accidentally tapped the mouse a couple of times, the answer is yes, A, Helen Gore. And
Amanda's like, it's not C.
A little before Alba's time.
Okay, I gotta click a few things here. This one's a quick song, so we'll play the whole thing through for you.
Also, since Stockholm syndrome also comes from Sweden, so it's appropriate. I just want to say.
Helan vår som helan vår som helan och helan vår helvete allvar helan går.
Oh no, there's more.
That is good.
I have no idea what it said, but I get the gist, however.
The lyrics were on the screen, but I'm not sure that's what I was hearing. You know what I mean? Like, the Swedish accent is thick. All right. Question number 3, your final question.
Sarika's like, wow.
Even children's songs are sometimes considered drinking songs, like this classic from your childhood. Is it A, Wheels on the Bus, B, If You're Happy and You Know It, or C, Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes?
Okay, so interesting think about this one, because I can see how they would all work, right? So one, I'm too drunk, I can't get my car keys. So wheels on the bus, right? That would, because you don't want to wreck your car.
Go up and down on your bar stool.
Right. I was like, but then if you're happy and you know it, because if you're happy and you know it, you clap your hands, right? Because you can still do that drinking. You might not be able to walk, but you clap your hands. But I also think head, shoulders, knees, and toes, because right, you're like, I can't feel my head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Or it's the next morning, and it's like, it hurts. What hurts? My head, shoulders, knees, and toes. They could all work. I don't know.
What do we think here?
Everyone's going with B. B. All of them, says Sadie.
Sadie's a drunk me can sing.
Yeah, I don't like tend to sing nursery rhymes when I'm drinking, but that's what makes me weird.
All of them. So Sarika's several people suggesting it might be all of them. I'm telling you, they all work.
Well, what do you think, Camper?
Dunk me. What's that?
What do you think, Camper? What's your final answer?
I'll go for A. I don't know.
The answer, at least according to Wikipedia, is B. If you're happy and you know it. It was very adamant that it is a children's song and can be a drinking song. I was like, okay.
Susan says if you listen to them long enough, you'll need a drink.
That's for sure.
That's how that begins.
I got a lot of those in my future, don't I?
Oh yeah. You really for like several. Well, I don't know. Two of them are the same age, so that might only count as one round through, really.
But once they start drinking in bars, they'll be singing "If You're Happy and You Know It" again, apparently.
Clap your hands. I'm happy and I know it.
Hey, it doesn't always have to be clap your hands, right? You could substitute anything in there.
Right, yeah. You can stomp your feet, clink your glass.
Kiss a lass. I don't know.
That's how you ended up with 3 children, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Stock up, Davey. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're coming towards the end of our show, and we've been doing better. I think all of you peculiars can agree. We've been trying to stay on task a little bit. I think in our first season, some of our shows were like an hour and a half long. But as we're getting close, I wanted to say that, this is one of those books that I think will have a long shelf life, because it is recipes. It reminds me of The Drunken Botanist, or Wicked Plants, or something like that. Like those are books I return to again and again and again. And so I feel like this book is the same kind of thing. And so my question is, you've done the drinks, you've done the ice. What's next?
I have some ideas. I mean, everyone suggests air, of course. But it would probably be water, actually.
Okay.
I'm really into water now. I order water off the internet from faraway lands to drink and explore the terroir. Yep. It just gets worse for me.
Glasses. Someone else says glasses. What about glasses? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
you could do water and glasses. They're both clear.
They are just like ice, my friend.
They're just like ice. Oh my gosh. Oh, they wouldn't want to get those confused, though. We have a shelf just for food, drinks, and medicine. So there we go. Yeah, you've not done any food books, though. That's not something that sort of appeals.
No.
Even
I don't know anything about food. I barely know about wine. I know a little about beer, but distilled spirits and then cocktails and all of the mixers and everything like that. Yeah.
I feel like you might owe us an alchemy book at some point.
That chapter was rough to write. The alchemy one. I feel like good about it, and then maybe I don't actually need to revisit that one. Like I've retired from that struggle, and there are other things I wouldn't mind expanding on. The gin and tonic I've already written so much. You can just look at the history of medicine through the gin and tonic. You don't actually need any other drinks, because malaria is so old. Some people theorize it really impacted the dinosaurs, because malaria was around at that time.
Can you imagine the size of those mosquitoes?
Could be.
I thought about that.
What about
very cool
hangovers?
Yeah.
Hangover cures. That would just be another alcohol book, though.
It kind of would. I've read a few of the books. They're more like funny hangover cures, or those are the interesting ones, because it's always like terrible, disgusting food and beverage for the hangover cures, and most of them don't work, but they wake you up because it's like so vial to put in your mouth. It'll be like sauerkraut and tuna or whatever. I don't think that's a real one. I made that up, but
it is now. You know the way the internet works.
Now.
Run with it, people.
Well, it's funny because I think one of the weirdest ones that I read was ground up. It was pigeon poop, ground up pearls, and something else you put on your feet. From like the 16th century or something.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, there's a lot of those ones that are the malaria cures, because those go so far back, have some of the witchcraft ones blended in. If you just list malaria cures, you're going to get a lot in there.
Roasted raven's heart and stuff. Kill a chicken at midnight.
The embrace of a bald-headed Brahmin woman at dawn, I believe was one.
The embrace of a say that again.
The embrace of a bald-headed Brahmin woman at dawn. I think someone just got caught and was like curing malaria.
This isn't what it looks like. I'm trying a cure. Amanda says, I've seen ads for things to take to prevent hangovers. The wellness industry is relentless and ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah, that's where you can take water. That will probably do a better job than most of the.
Oh, wait, we've got one. I know we're getting close, but we got one last question here. At the beginning of the book, I had to do this because you've got the word phallus in it. At the beginning of the book, you mentioned the Romans drinking water that had washed a phallus. Thoughts? Anyone? Have you seen Saltburn?
Saltburn. Nice. I do get the reference. I did see Saltburn. There was the Egyptians though.
Right. But seriously, what does that mean?
Yeah, there was it was interesting the way the Egyptians referred to different kinds of liquids that medicine would go into, not just wine or beer or water, each specified individually, but specific waters like river water or water in which the phallus has been washed, for example. And yeah, I don't know the thinking behind that, but it was there.
Well, it's been a while since we've mentioned phalluses on the show, so I just thought it would be good to, thank you, Ryan, for reminding me of that. It's good for us to get that and we got vaginas. No, we got a uterus earlier, right? So yeah. So we did it for some reason, and it's a zeitgeist thing. It's not us. But we had like 3 or 4 books the same year that were like penis, vagina. We talked about duck vaginas a lot and duck penises. And you even did
we did a sex education. We did a sex education class for ducks.
Yeah. Though Amanda does say, she is a little bit surprised we don't see more semen in some of these cures. Yeah.
There is a cocktail book with that ingredient highlighted, as I've heard. I've not picked that one up. Don't plan to. That's
a whole thing. I don't want to yuck anyone's yums, but also yuck.
I think there was a reference to that in the movie American Pie. I think there was a reference to that. Yeah.
I feel like perhaps, yes. I perhaps. Yeah, Red Bull. Red Bull. What, Ryan? I'm not exactly sure what that is in reference to, but it could mean so many different things. Because my mind's in the gutter now anyway. So, which is a good place to end our show, in the gutter. I feel like that's that's a peculiarly good place to end, as many a drinking night probably does end, in fact, in a literal actual gutter. But cheers to all of you at home, and thank you so much, Camper, for being on the show to talk about ice and drinks and medicine and all the other wonderful things in between, and giving us that fabulous rundown of gin and tonics that I hope Mark has caught on to, so he can surprise me with that later. Davey, good night. Thank you. Camper, good night. Thank you. All of you, thank you for being with us at a place where, if you're weird, you're family.
You got the blue bottle blues when you wake up in the night. Don't make a big mistake, 'cause you can never make it right. When you reach out for the vial, feel the ridges in the glass. It's a